guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is entitled Man Learns a Life Lesson to Never Mess with Truckers or Their Friends. So, for context, I work for a local tow truck company as the manager, and the roads outside our city up the hills are famous for being tricky and full of deadly turns to drive on. We are a busy company, especially during heavy rain periods where the roads are almost impossible to ride with cargo trucks. The owner of the company is a sweet old lady and she does her best to help the truck drivers have the best time possible during this crappy situation. We let them buy coffee and snacks in the stops on us and they are very grateful for it. The costs are honestly not too high, especially because our contracts are quite hefty due said roads plus the many other regular people who don't know better how drive there. Every week I go to the local truck stops to confirm how much we have to pay them all. I could do that by just a couple phone calls or messages, but if I have a chance to leave that office I'll take it in a heartbeat. The workloads can be downright cruel sometimes, so that's a good break for me and the owner doesn't mind at all. I'm known there to be the person who pays for the truckers' coffee and food, and while I always tell that's the company paying for it, they are very grateful anyway, plus we treat them with dignity and respect they deserve, so that's another big plus. There was a day last year in the middle of summer, a big storm going on that swamped me with work. I had to help our 22 drivers to locate and retrieve people's cars, constantly receiving calls for help so much so that dread noise stills hammer my head to this day. I had an assistant, but even so it was way too much for only 2 people to handle. We spent from 5 a.m. to 5 a.m. breaking our backs and minds that day. The road is even worse, so we had to work overnight. Then at 5 a.m. I was leaving home to rest and the owner said she could cover the weekly visit to the stops. I thanked her but told to not care about one stop in particular because it was on my way home. Our office is located some miles off our city. Once I arrive in my regular stop to get a most earned mountain of food and so much coffee it could thicken my blood, I was met by all the regulars, talked with everyone about the crazy storm and chit-chatting while my order was being done. It arrived and I was feasting on it. Then I hear a loud man yelling something in the lines of, "What do you mean you can't help me? This is you're a whole job," to the cashier. I look back and tell to myself, what a crazy bastard. It was Roger, fake name. He keeps screaming with the cashier about something with the tires of his car, so I blocked the noise of my mind to finally eat my sustenance deed for an entire family. Then I hear a sharp and annoyed, "Hey you," coming from behind me. I thought I was in the way of someone to catch one of the condiments close me, so I say, "My bad," push the basket with them aside and keep eating. Then I hear a loud stomp and someone, Roger, pulling me by my shoulder yelling at me, "Fire that awful employee immediately." I was still using my officer badge and clothes, so it is understandable Roger confused me with the manager, but I was just about over one of the most stressful days of my life and eating is sacred for me. So I simply release from his grip, turning back to my food saying, "Go fuck yourself." I could hear the cashier giggling and the owner, Bob, fake name, who happens to be behind the counter getting people's orders, giving a good loud laugh, then promptly telling I'm just a costumer and he's the one who runs business. Roger, is that how you run your business then? Letting rude lousy cashiers treat your costumes as garbage and your other costumers harass me without consequences? Bob looks at me and says, "I'm terribly sorry, you have to go trough this up, I'll see the bad costumer out." Roger gives the biggest gasp I ever saw. "How dare you? You let you staff and costumers harass good people like this? I'm calling the police, and by the looks of your disgusting food I bet your kitchen is dirty with rats and cockroaches. I'm calling health surveillance too." I took great offense with this. I told him this food was 1,000 times better than whatever pig wash his wife does to him whenever she is not having sexual affair with others. Roger went into a bursting rage, treating to get physical with me and yelling some very ruder words to me. But something Roger didn't realize is the restaurant was also full of truckers who were watching their friends being harassed. Some got up to defend us, and while we were in the middle of the confusion I hear a rough, "Hey a-hole, get the hell out of here." And when I look back there was these 3 angry guys, each one with mechanical tools on their hands and one with a fire axe, looking like they were ready to kill. My heart skipped a beat and I froze in place with the sight of the axe, and that seems to have convinced Roger too, because he started walking quite hastily outside yelling about calling the police. The truckers were behind him telling they would chop his limbs off if he ever comes back. Everything eventually went back to normal and Bob even let me get that meal for free for all that trouble. Thank you, Bob. The police arrived later. We explained everything that happened. They asked if Bob wanted to press charges and he simply said, "Don't worry sir, I don't think he is coming back. If I can get anything from this is, have the right friends everyone, and be kind with truckers, they're a crazy bunch." The next story is titled My Neighbors Cut Down Our Trees to Improve Their View. So, this is not my story but my parents, however, they don't know the internet so I will tell this story to them. So, I live with my parents as I am only 14 and my parents decided they wanted a holiday house that they can work on and have to get away from life. When we moved in, we talked to the neighbor. On one side is nice neighbors, a lovely couple who have just moved into their first house, and on the other side are entitled neighbors who rent their house to any people who want to have parties. When we look around the garden we see 3 very tall trees, healthy trees which have probably taken about 200 years to grow, and as we are on a dip these trees block the view of the house on the other side of the dip very well from seeing into my parents' bedroom and bathroom which doesn't have curtains on the windows. I think you can see what's about to happen. We have to go back to our other house so my mum can go back to work when my mum gets a call from the nice neighbors and this conversation ensued. "Hey, you need to come back here right now, the entitled neighbors are on your property with chainsaws and I don't know what they are planning to do." "Wait, what, can you stop them?" "I'm so sorry but my ferry is about to leave, and I need to go to work, however, I can call the police if you want. I know all of them very well so they will come quickly." "Yes, please, I will get my dad to get on the next ferry and get there as fast as he can." However, when the police got there, they were gone. I had just gotten out of school, and cause my dad need to pick me up I went with him to see what had happened. When we get there we see this view, the 3 trees are gone and what is left are 3 very hacked at tree stumps and some glass. They had cut down our trees and in the process smashed part of the glass wall around the deck. Hearing chainsaws we look over, there is no fence yet. We see 3 mid-30 men cutting wood up probably for firewood. This is when the entitlement really starts. "Hey, why did you cut down our trees?" "Oh, hey, we were just looking over to your side and noticed that if these trees fell they could really mess up your house and being new neighbors we thought we should do the neighborly thing of cutting them down for you. A sort of new neighbors helping each out." "What? Those trees were really healthy also you trespassed and cut down our tree without our consent. We are calling the police on you." The neighbor got so angry at my dad for saying this. "What the heck dude, we improved your view and made sure the trees wouldn't hit your house. We helped you, why to call the police?" Now my dad hates being called dude, it's like swearing to him, so him getting angry also being a lot stronger and bigger than them, so he just walked inside while I stay standing there not really knowing what to do. Then the oldest, like 40 years old, looks at me and says, "Hey sweetie, if you stop your dad from calling the police we will give you an ice cream." I just turned around and walking inside as the way he said it was so creepy. Fast forward about a week and we find out that the trees they cut down actually blocked their view of the sea and them cutting the trees down the view helped their rental. They have been fined a lot of money and have to do some community work as well as pay us enough money to put up a fence so that we don't have to see them anymore. Entitled neighbors have also started to rent out so hopefully, we don't ever have to see them again. The next story is titled I'm Not Covering Tills on Your Lunch, I Don't Even Work Here. This was a few years ago now, but at the time I was working at a store that was part of this big retail park. We sold home appliances, TVs, computers and the like. Next door to my work was one of the more fancy grocery stores and occasionally I'd go in there to grab lunch. Sandwich and a drink type beat. Our uniforms are pretty similar, black polo shirt and pants with the only difference being the embroidered store logo. Anyway, I grab my things and place them on the conveyor to be scanned when the cashier looks at me, almost with relief, and says something to the tune of, "Oh thank goodness. Do you mind covering me on tills while I go on break?" And at the time I was just pretty flustered and blurted out, "Nope, sorry, work next door." But you know, for at least a week after I was coming up with quirky quips in response. Was all a good laugh in the end. They apologized, I said easy mistake. All was right with the world. The next story is titled I'm Not Robbing This House and I'm Not a Gardener Either. This is my own house. We moved into a new house a few years ago. 2 days after we get settled in, it's a gorgeous day so I'm out tending the garden. If you live in Louisiana you'll realize that nice days are few and far in between. It's hot and muggy. About 30 minutes after I start, this woman walks beside the house. She compliments my garden and asks how much my services cost. So I told her, "Ma'am, I don't do services." About this time my husband walks out and puts something into the car. So all's perfectly fine, right? No. This woman decides to call the police and tell them we are robbing the place. I don't know if her watching my husband caused that thinking as he was pulling stuff out of the house and into the vehicle or what. We were new neighbors, moved in like a few days prior, so you'd think she would have seen us moving. 3 cops show up a few minutes after she left. We didn't know she called the cops. They pull up while both of us are wondering what the hell happened. Maybe someone we knew died or our kid got arrested. Neither. They said we were called in as an active burglar. We had to prove it was ours. She didn't even talk to us about or mention robbery. Although I guess in the moment she just lost it. People are crazy here. The next story is titled "Can You Not Tug on That? You're Awfully Close to My Penis." Oh, so I had a fun one the day after Christmas. Got lots of gift cards, so I went to a store that has an I for a logo because I wanted to try to get a pair of AirPods. Probably my fault for daring the after Christmas crowd. I keep my badge for work on a lanyard that I use a keychain loop to attach to my pants since I have a real habit of misplacing it. Anyway, I was looking for something sweet after not getting my AirPods since they were sold out, and this crabby old idiot came waddling down the cookie aisle. I at the time had my actually headphones in listening to Being Scared, awesome YouTube channel for fans of horror. She'll be Cobb for obvious reasons. Cobb. Snaps fingers. Hey you. Me. Internal screaming while pausing at a good part of the story. Yes ma'am? Cobb. Where is the pop? Oh, this is an obvious snowbird. FYI, I live in Arizona, and when these types come down here for winter it's like a haven for IDWHL scenarios. Me. I think it's 2 aisles over, but I'm not sure as I don't work here. Have a nice day though. As I unpause and start to walk away, I feel my headphones get ripped from my ear, which caused my phone to fall out of my hoodie pocket with them. I stared at them for a few seconds, deciding how to react. Cobb. Serves you right, you little brat. You young people never respect your elders. How dare you turn your back to me? Me. First of all, I'm 35. Second of all, for the second time now, I don't work here, so I'm not someone who is required to put up with any of your crap, and even if I did work here, that's no way to treat people. If this is the kind of person you are, I can only imagine what your kids are like. It's parents like you that raise entitled little a-holes. That's the real trouble with today's youth. Don't touch me again. She looked like a fish trying to inhale as much water as she could with how her mouth was hung. Agape. As I turn to walk away, I feel a strong tug on my lanyard that is literally hanging down by my penis. Me. Can you not touch that? You're really close to my penis. This gets the attention of a nearby manager. Manager. What's going on over here? Cobb. This employee of yours wouldn't help me and swore at me. Me. I'm sorry, Miss Manager, but there's probably someone with a very large butterfly net looking for this woman who has just physically assaulted me twice, and she also tried to sexually assault me once. Cobb. See. He's such a smart ass, and I would do no such thing. Me. Ma'am, you still haven't released your hold of my lanyard that again for the second time is right next to my special place, and there's cameras all over this section that just recorded you ripping my headphones out, causing my phone to fall to the floor. Manager looks at her, looks at me, and looks at my lanyard that she still hasn't released yet. Manager. Ma'am, he doesn't work here. He's wearing another company's name on his lanyard and a t-shirt that says Bullet Club on it. How could you possibly think he works here? I can also clearly see you're holding him by a lanyard that is hanging down by his privates. Can you let him go, or do I call security? He'd also be well within his rights to physically defend himself at this point. Cobb. Well, I have never. Me. I'm sure that's not true. Can you let go now, please? She finally lets go and is trespassed from the store. The manager apologized. I told her not to worry as it wasn't even close to her fault. I have still yet to find my AirPods, maybe after New Year's. The next story is titled Yes, I Work There, and There, but Not Here. A wholesome little story. I hope this fits here. If not, I'll take it down. It's a nice little story. Nobody gets crazy. I actually have a lot of jobs. I think I'm up to 5 at the moment. All 0 hours, flexible and freelance stuff. I've got to jump around a lot if I want to make full-time pay. Most of my jobs involve caring for, or entertaining children in some way. There's this one little girl, I'll call her Jane. She's about 6 and lives in my town, has a few younger siblings, and keeps showing up at my various jobs. We don't really know each other, I just recognize her face, and she recognizes mine. Each time she finds me, she gets more and more confused. So during the school holidays our interactions were sort of like, week 1, I painted her brother's face at the fair. Week 2, I helped her sister choose a book at the library event. Week 3, I sold something to her mum at the shop etc. and so on. I've never interacted with her directly, but I've seen her at least once a week all summer. Each time she clocks me at a different job I can see her little brain trying to figure out why I am also here. I think I'm starting to scare her a little, like maybe I'm following her or something. No one else in her family seems to notice or remember me. So the town had this big event at the end of summer. I was not working. I was there enjoying some candy floss and chilling out, dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. I'm sitting on the benches and Jane and her family walk past. Her head turns all the way round as she stares at me. I can see her brain freaking out a little bit. Why am I here too? I give her a little wave, she waves back and off she goes. About half an hour later, I'm watching the school kids perform their little show, and I feel a tug on my sleeve. It's little Jane, tears in her eyes. She asks if I can help. This is the first time she's ever spoken to me. But she's lost her mum. And she needs help. So of course I'm going to help her. Having worked with kids, I know the drill. I get the info we need. Mum's name, what she's wearing, I couldn't remember. We find the lost children stand and get the staff to send out a message for the mum. I assure her that Mummy is looking for her, and we'll wait here till she finds us. She's holding my hand as we wait and she says, "I'm glad you work here too." I didn't have the heart to correct her. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.